Hello, this is John welcoming you to the 2118th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline 19th of October 2017. The readers this week are Danny, John and Kitty, with Peter on the controls. The editor was Phillip, and the production and distribution team is Keith, Jean and Lindsay. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prix, Ferdinand Bouillon, Harry Breuer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from the Enfield Independent and Edmonton Green Magazine, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The lead story this week, truly a great politician. Before the news, we have one or two special news items and notices. First, the sunrise and sunset times for the week beginning 23rd of October are 0738 and 1800, and I've been asked to remind you that the clocks go back the following weekend. Is it back or forward? Let me think. Back, I was right. We also have some special notices. A huge thank you to all our volunteers, but especially this week to Jean Davis, Alison St Dennis and Lindsay Rawlings, who have all been awarded a special certificate this week by the Mayor of Enfield, recording the fact that they have been volunteering with ETN for over 100 hours. Thank you too to Linda Cole, who edits our fourth weekly team. Linda received an award for her volunteering with the Friends of Berry Lodge Gardens. And as you heard earlier in a newspaper article, it is with much sadness that we report the death of John Boast, a founding father of Enfield, one of the first councillors to be elected to represent the borough. John was also always a big supporter of ETN. When he stepped down from the council in 2010, he volunteered to join us as a reader and soon became roped in to help with editing and announcing too. John died last week. His son and daughter have decided to ask people to make donations to ETN rather than sending flowers to the funeral, which is very kind of them. John's funeral will take place at St Andrew's Church, Enfield, on Wednesday the 1st of November at 1 p.m, and all are invited to attend. Guide Dogs London, my guide, friends and family session. Are you visually impaired and needing support to get out of the house? In our friends and family session, we can facilitate conversations with you and your friends, family or colleagues about living with sight loss and offer practical sighted guiding training to those who support you regularly. It's also an opportunity to meet other visually impaired people and their families or friends for peer support. We have 3 sessions available, all from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the 31st of October, the 15th of November, and the 30th of November. Spaces are limited, and each visually impaired person can bring between 1 and 3 friends, family members or colleagues, so book early to avoid disappointment by emailing Francesca, which is Francesca .vella, V-E-L-L-A, at guidedogs.org.uk. Sessions will take place at the Pocklington Hub, WC1H 9LG, and are free to attend. And finally, a big thank you to Diane and Keith de Jersey for producing our latest magazine, which you should have received on CD last week. The CD is yours to keep. Do let us know what you think of the magazine. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now, Danny will read the first item of local news.
Blues Night, to show they care. The concert will feature songs from the Deep South to help raise money for charity. Chicken Shed Theatre in Enfield will host a blues concert for charity Enfield Cares. St Harmonica's Blues Club will also take to the stage as part of the event. Mayor of Enfield, Christine Hamilton, said, "Please join me for what will be a top-quality night of entertainment where you can in turn help us raise the profile of this charity sector and to also work with relevant partners to address the underlying issues associated with caregiving. I'm passionate about music and the power it has to bring communities together. I look forward to seeing you there." Well-loved acts to appear include the Professor Red-Haired Band, Potts and Phoebe, Mad Dog Dave Barnes, That Blue Patch, BJ Cole with Joe Papa, Big Alan Craig and Loon. To To find out more about Enfield Cares, email mayor@enfield.gov.uk. Go to www.chickenshed.org.uk for information. Money raised from ticket sales goes towards the charity.
New trucks. 6 new improved street trucks have been bought to win the war against fly tippers whilst reducing the borough's carbon footprint. Equipped with a tool storage facility and a lift platform, the vehicles Enfield Council have bought enable workers to sort and check waste more quickly. A greater capacity for rubbish in the vehicles, meanwhile, will result in fewer trips to waste transfer stations. This, in turn, will reduce the amount of fuel burned from miles travelled.
And now what is really our lead story today, under the heading Truly a Great Politician, it's about somebody who used to read for the ETN. A former Conservative councillor who was one of the first members of Enfield Council has died. John Boast, who was in his 80s, was elected to Enfield Council in 1964 after the London Borough's creation. He initially represented Bush Hill South Ward and later Turkey Street Ward until his retirement in 2002, helping to recruit senior officers and sitting on the Children's and Welfare Committees. In his memoir, he explained that his greatest, most meaningful contribution was reuniting separated siblings placed apart from each other in children's homes. He also sat on the Education Committee. Councillor Joanne Laban, leader of the Conservative group, said, "John Boast was one of the founding fathers of Enfield Council and dedicated almost 50 years of his life to public service and improving the lives of our borough's most vulnerable residents." On behalf of the Conservative group, I would like to send my deepest sympathy and condolences to John's family and friends. He truly was a great politician who did an immeasurable amount of good in the fields of housing and education, and we also owe him a huge debt of gratitude for the way he helped nurture and support younger politicians as they joined the council. Mr. Boast was a keen football fan, and in the World Cup winning year of 1966 suggested a staff versus councillors match to fundraise for the 3 widows of policemen murdered in that year's Wormwood Scrubs shootings. Mr. Boast was young enough to play the whole game, but many of his colleagues were deemed too old, and so players from Enfield Town Football Club volunteered in their stead. The game was played on the Enfield Town pitch in front of a crowd of several hundred. Councillor Doug Taylor, Enfield Council leader, added, "John Boast was one of the rare breed of councillors who was in at the birth of Enfield Council and helped shape the way the borough evolved and developed over many years. He was an erudite and conscientious politician who took his duties very seriously, committing much time and energy to public service. Our deepest condolences and sympathy to his family and friends. His presence will be missed." John Boast became a Freeman of the borough in 2012 in recognition of his long, distinguished service.
Everyone is so friendly. We make a good team. Christiana's award for work with Park. A volunteer has won an award for her tireless efforts in trying to improve a community park. Christiana Stefanu, who offers up her free time with Adult Learning Difficulties charity 1-to-1 Enfield, was handed a Jack Petchey Achievement Award for her dedication and reliability at Bush Hill Park. The 24-year-old also won £250 for the Friends of Bush Hill Park, the organisation she nominated. Christiana started working in Bush Hill Park in April this year on a placement from gardening course at Capel Manor. She asked if she could join 1-to-1 Enfield to work in the park every week, and they said yes. She said, "Everyone here is so friendly, and I think we make a good team. I'm so glad to be given this award, and I hope it will help the Friends to buy some more gardening equipment." The Friends of Bush Hill Park aim to make the green community space safe, tidy and free of rubbish. This year the Friends organisation wants to refurbish the shelter and wildlife garden and reduce litter in the park. Co-chairman of the Friends group, Carol Stanley and Caroline Wilmer, said, "We're delighted that Christina's hard work and loyalty have been recognised by the Jack Petchey Foundation. We rely on volunteers, grant funding and donations to carry out work, and this £250 is a much-needed boost to our funds. To get involved with the Friends of Bush Hill Park, visit www.friendsofbushhillpark.org.uk, their Facebook page at Friends of Bush Hill Park, or follow on Twitter at Friends of BHP.
Embracing the Challenge of Climate Change by Anna Slater. Enfield Council has managed to surpass its own carbon footprint reduction goals set out 3 years ago. Greenhouse gas emissions are down by 5%, more than the targeted 40%. But it is now keen to build on its good work and continue improving. By 2025, it hopes to reduce 60% less pollution. As a result, the Council's Enfield 2020 programme has been rebranded to Sustainable Enfield. Councillor Alan Sitkin, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Economic Regeneration and Business, said, "This is a fantastic achievement by the Council, its partners and all of its employees. Local authorities can have a huge impact in areas such as energy efficiency in buildings, renewable energy, and fuel poverty. We have also set up Energetic as a local energy company. These initiatives all contribute to the growth and sustainability of Enfield and to the creation of strong communities within the borough. We have embraced the challenge of addressing climate change and will continue to set ambitious carbon reduction targets. Although we have big hurdles ahead, such as pollution growth, these aren't insurmountable. Working with our partners, Enfield Council is delivering more than 50 large-scale projects to improve the sustainability of Enfield. We will continue to innovate and collaborate to become greener and cleaner. Enfield Council's success has been possible partly because of its buildings, which are cost-efficient, save money, and produce less carbon. To learn more, visit www.enfield.gov.uk/sustainable or follow on Twitter @Enfield Council.
Right. Cancer charity to hold fashion show. A cancer centre is fundraising in style with a fashion show. The Nightingale Cancer Support Centre is holding the event at Enfield Baptist Church in Cecil Road, Enfield, on Friday, November the 3rd. Fashion lovers will be greeted with bubbly and canapés before the show begins. It will feature the latest trends in everyday and party wear for both men and women to support cancer sufferers and their families. The charity receives no outside funding and relies on events such as this to be able to continue providing support through a range of free services like counselling, therapies and courses. Director Joan Kearns said, "Every pound raised on the night goes straight into the charity for the benefit of our clients. Our fashion shows are unique because our models are from all different backgrounds. Some of them have been clients in the past, and this is their way of giving back." The event starts at 7 p.m. Tickets are £20, and to purchase yours, either call 020 8366 9674 or visit nightingalesupport.org.uk.
Making a difference. Spurs legend Gary Mabbott helped an Enfield charity raise more than £5,500 at its annual golf event held at Bush Hill Park Golf Club on Friday, October the 13th. The 5th annual event was organised by Oakwood-based Skills for Life, Making a Difference, SFL, MAD, and held at Bush Hill Park Golf Club again on Friday, October the 13th. After the daytime golf tournament, Mr Mabbott, club ambassador for Tottenham Hotspur, for which he made some 650 appearances in the 1980s and 90s, was star guest at the evening trophy presentation dinner. For the charity auction, he donated a Spurs shirt signed by all its players, which was sold for £200, and an autographed match ball, which went for £110. Guests included the Deputy Mayor of Enfield, Councillor Doris Jagg, Council Leader Councillor Doug Taylor, Enfield Southgate MP, Mr Bambus Charalambus, and former Enfield Edmonton MP, Mr Andy Love, now a trustee of Skills for Life, Making a Difference. In an enthusiastically received talk, Mr Mabbott recalled highlights of his playing days for Spurs, but also for England, during which he was named Player of the Year and made Spurs captain for 11 years and awarded an MBE for services to football. He highlighted and praised the shared aim of both Spurs and MAD in helping young people into employment. MAD was formed in 2013 as a community interest company by Mr. Vijay Sujan shortly after being made redundant at the age of 64 and himself looking, successfully, for a new job. He told guests at the dinner that as well as recognising that there are some 2,500 jobless young people in Enfield, he has also involved a number of unemployed over 50s people to act as mentors for these youngsters.
Students Give an Hour. Generous donations to help hospice by Michael Bowden. College students gave up an hour's salary to help support a children's hospice. Young adults who are on an English for Speakers of Other Languages ESOL course at the College of Haringey, Enfield and North East London CONEL donated £70 to the Noah's Ark Children's Hospice. Noah's Ark is running a Building the Ark campaign, which sees people give an hour of their salary towards the construction of North and Central London's only children's hospice building. Louisa Dino, 16, from Romania said, "When we heard about the charity, we all wanted to help these little children. They have many problems and are not feeling good. Everyone in the class has donated money, and hopefully this will make their lives easier. Over 1,200 children with life-limiting or life-threatening conditions could benefit from the building of the Ark." CONEL students, Racia Nakodia and Fatu Sarnadu, both 16, presented Jules Adam, specialist carer at Noah's Ark Children's Hospice, with the cheque. Fatima Nafil, community fundraiser at Noah's Ark Children's Hospice, said, "I think it's brilliant what the students have done. It's always so inspiring when young people want to help out in this way, and we are very grateful for their support."
I am so proud to lead this school. Daring children turned their school into an obstacle course when they abseiled up their classroom walls. Oasis Academy in Enfield raised money for a partner school in Uganda to mark its 10th anniversary. The 10 pupils who took part were then treated to a lunch. Oasis founder, Reverend Steve Chalk, also attended. Neil Hussell, principal, Oasis Academy Enfield, said, "I am so proud to lead this school, and doubly so to be able to join the whole community in celebrating this marvellous milestone. 10 years represents over 2,000 young people who have started their adult lives here and gone on to fantastic careers and valuable lives."
It's my way of saying thank you. A grandfather who survived a severe heart attack wants to prove how the disease has no cultural boundaries. Edwin Phillip was rushed to North Middlesex Hospital in Edmonton when he collapsed and nearly died at the age of 62. But he is now determined to give something back to the team which helped save his life. He has been instrumental in creating a series of videos and images for a hospital campaign called No Cultural Boundaries. Through hashtag No Cultural Boundaries, it is possible to learn how heart disease affects men and women from different backgrounds and communities. He said, "I had a major heart attack at the end of 2016. I've received magnificent treatment across the NHS, and in particular from the cardiac rehabilitation team at North Mid. This is my way of saying thank you." Heart disease can affect anyone, and it can bring devastation to an individual, family, friends, and colleagues. Exercise and a good diet are shown to be integral to reducing the risk of disease and heart attack. Cardiac Rehabilitation Unit Specialist Nurse Valerie Nangle and Cardiology Specialist Nurse Sarah Pelly developed the campaign. They discovered many patients did not know the disease could affect all communities and ethnic groups. Valerie Nangle said, "We all need to understand the risks of heart disease, whatever our ethnic background. We know, for example, that for Bangladeshis, Indians and Pakistanis, and people with an African Caribbean background, cardiovascular risk can be higher than for the rest of the UK population. We are grateful to everyone for helping us put this great campaign together. It will help raise awareness among their communities and beyond." A further 42 patients from 40 ethnic groups undergoing cardiology rehabilitation also volunteered to help. The British Heart Foundation supported the campaign.
Drive for Diabetes UK. A retired maths teacher and golf captain hopes to raise £5,000 with his golf club for a diabetes charity. David Dickinson, who was diagnosed with the disease 31 years ago, and his team at Bush Hill Park Golf Club will all support the cause. The 67-year-old said, "I was diagnosed with diabetes back in 1986 when I was 36. So when it came to choosing my charity of the year as a club captain, there was no contest. I play golf whenever I get the chance, which helps with my overall health." The captain's drive-in started the year of fundraising. David made a single shot and club members paid to guess how far it would travel. More events are planned. David's wife Irene, who is captain of the golf club's ladies team, is fundraising for the Alzheimer's Society.
Students get on the career ladder. Special educational needs students have started an 8 weeks work experience programme at one of the country's biggest supermarkets. Keen to gain a foothold on the career ladder, 15 supported learning students from the College of Haringey, Enfield and North East London started work at the South Tottenham branch of Tesco on Thursday, October the 12th. Whilst there, they will learn employability skills working in customer service, groceries, produce, dairy and warehouse deliveries. Their induction on Monday, October the 2nd has already taught them health and safety rules covering the cleaning up of spillages, handling heavy goods, fire prevention and food hygiene. Student Rilwan Yusuf, 24, said, "I am looking forward to working at Tesco because it is going to be a different experience and give me confidence." Kevin Ocken, aged 22, added, "I feel great about having a job. I'm looking forward to working with the staff and helping the customers with their shopping." All 15 students are studying employability courses which teach work skills, job interviews, managing money, computing, English and maths. Store manager Bernard Osei Tutu said, "We saw this as a great opportunity to give these students a head start in their careers and support the local community. As a company, we're keen to give opportunities to anyone, regardless of their background, and hope these placements will provide them with a good experience of working in retail and also develop their skills for employment."
Wellness campaign launched. A new campaign promoting wellness is to be launched at a school on the same day it receives special commendation for the high standard of its meals. Enfield Council is launching its Healthy Enfield initiative at Brimsdown School in Enfield on Wednesday, October 18. At the launch, the Soil Association will acknowledge the school's own efforts with the Silver Food for Life Server Here award. A new purpose-built kitchen with the most up-to-date facilities opens at Brimsdown School and will also be officially opened. The very first hot meals will be served to pupils, teachers and guests. The kitchen is capable of serving 400 school dinners daily. Healthy Enfield encourages people to eat healthier diets in a bid to overcome obesity and reduce the risk of other life-threatening conditions.
Back in the ring for a new generation, a wrestler who once confronted the biggest man I have ever seen in the ring is passing on his expertise and enthusiasm to youngsters. Johnny Bailey, 23, of Enfield, who performed under the name of Savvy Sid Scala, is to hold wrestling sessions at Edmonton County School in Littlebury Street on Saturdays between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. from November the 4th. Targeting teenagers from the age of 14 upwards, the World Wrestling Entertainment candidate was inspired to take up the sport in 2003. After growing up obsessed with the likes of sporting greats Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin and Rey Mysterio, Johnny has gone on to work all over the country. His summers are spent at holiday resorts, and this week alone he has travelled to Epsom, Bristol and Gloucester to entertain crowds. His biggest professional challenge, however, came in 2016 when a 61-year-old former world heavyweight champion based in Colorado came calling. Vader is his name. Johnny explained, When I was born, he was world champion for the World Champion Wrestling Incorporation, and I'd seen him on television, and we faced off in Colchester on August the 12th a year ago. I had heard he would be over in the UK and decided to challenge him on Twitter. He reacted pretty strongly and said if he saw me, he would teach me a lesson. Next thing I know, I'm having a conversation with his promoter on the phone, and the match is booked. It was hard work. He was literally the biggest man I have ever seen, and I was worried I wouldn't make it out of the ring that night. He has a reputation for hitting people incredibly hard. After being buried under his mass from an elbow drop, I lost the match, but luckily kept my health. Johnny started wrestling at the age of 9 when he went to the Jiu-Jitsu dojo in Enfield after his mum saw an advert in the local newspaper. In 2006, he continued to train under the expert eye of Barry Charalambos, who has been helping him for the past 10 years. Always motivated to improve, Johnny now wants to pass on his skills to others. He added, striving to be the best I can be and to wrestle for the biggest organization in the world is a goal I aspire to. I have been teaching classes all around the country for the last couple of years. Passing on what I know is something I really enjoy, so I have been looking to start my own training for a while now. To find out more about the wrestling school, email Johnny at wrestlingtraininguk@gmail.com.
A buzz around the hive of activity, enjoying arts, science and crafts. Children took part in an arts and crafts event when a centre was turned into a hive of activity. A variety of workshops and collaborative projects was organised on Saturday, October the 7th and Sunday, October the 8th at Blue House Yard Fun Palace in Wood Green. An international celebration of community cohesion, Fun Palace aims to bring people together through an appreciation of the arts, science, crafts and technology. Organiser Victoria Beatson said, "It was a really successful day. We had more people come to visit than expected, and thankfully the weather held out." One woman said, "I had no idea this artistic oasis was by the Wood Green Tube. We expected to just pop in for a peek and got pulled into the spell for hours and hours." Her 4-year-old son said the cake decorating was the best part. I'd have thought he'd have said the cake eating. A Blue House Yard stall holder, Martha at Studio One Ceramics, added, "Saturday was a hive of activity at Blue House Yard. The space was open to budding creatives of all ages. Over in Studio One Ceramics, we were painting and decorating colourful tiles, and there were lots of pinch pots being crafted. Children and adults enjoyed getting their hands dirty and making some wonderful and versatile pieces, from bowls full of insects to fire engine tiles. First Fun Palaces were staged in October 2014 across 138 venues. Around 40,000 people took part in person, whilst tens of thousands did so interactively. For further information, visit www.funpalaces.co.uk or email Victoria Beatson at funpalace.bluehouseyard@gmail.com.
And next, Enfield Council, together with the Palmer's Green community, have created the Silver Fit charity, inspired by the 2012 Olympic Games. And they're calling it Silver Fridays Fun and Fitness Sessions. Where? Broomfield Park. Meet at Cyril Smith Court, 4 Broomfield Lane, London, N13 4ET. Who? Age 45 and over. Whether you have never exercised before or are a seasoned pro, meet new friends and get healthy doing it. When? Every Friday, 11 a.m, meet at Cyril Smith Court. 11:30 a.m, activities. 12:30 p.m, tea and coffee back at Cyril Smith Court. No information about any beer. What? All fitness levels catered for. Latin American dance lessons for beginners. No partner needed. Nordic walking. Holes provided. Tai Chi. £2 for members, £3 for non-members per session. First session free. Membership, so joining membership, £5 per annum. Contact through www.silverfit.org.uk, on Facebook, Silverfit Charity, on Twitter @silverfitorg, by email info@silverfit.org.uk, by telephone 07721 419 518.
It's Halloween Apple Day in Arnos Park Community Orchard and Growing Space. Saturday, 28th of October, 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Come on a Halloween adventure around our orchard with the outdoor storyteller Richard Sylvester. Make your own Halloween cloak and scary masks. There will also be apple tasting, pumpkin soup and bread, and a bonfire. For more information or to get involved in our community growing project, contact us at Friends of Arnos Park at hotmail.co.uk or on Facebook, Friends of Arnos Park, London. Meet at the orchard.
Town hold National League Maidstone to deadlock. Enfield handed Cheltenham ahead of Maidstone replay. By the time you read this, Enfield Town will know whether they will take part in a historic FA Cup first-round tie with Cheltenham Town. But the fact that they were still in the competition when the Enfield Independent went to press is remarkable enough in itself. The seventh-tier club faced an uphill struggle against National League side Maidstone United on Saturday, but despite a two-vision gap, held their own to earn a tall draw in Kent, which could have been all the sweeter had the hosts not netted a 94th minute equaliser. Their replay against the Stones was played on Tuesday night, meaning their progression was neither confirmed nor denied at the time of going to press, but Town had never had the pleasure of being part of a draw for a proper round of the FA Cup. Major incidents bookended an otherwise unremarkable game at the Gallagher Stadium on Saturday, albeit one where referee Wayne Cartmel was often at the centre of attention. He began the game by awarding the hosts a penalty inside the opening minute after spotting a foul from Danny Rumans. But when former West Ham United forward Zavon Hines staggered his run-up, Cartmel rightly, but harshly, ruled out his chipped finish and booked him for unsporting conduct. Town mopped their collective brow with relief at that narrow escape and used it to their advantage. 20 minutes in, Montel Moore fed Mickey Parcell, who delivered an inch-perfect cross, which Simon Thomas rose to nod beyond Lee Worgan. The Stones finally remembered that they were 2 leagues above their visitors and woke up, harassing the Enfield backline relentlessly before the break. And their hard work paid off when they were given a second penalty for a foul by Ryan Blackman, which Hines again took. He managed to avoid the staggered run-up, but could not outwit Joe Wright, who pulled off a stunning save to keep Enfield ahead. Just when they looked set for a half-time lead, Alex Winter glanced Seth Nana Tumazi's cross in to level. Amazingly, a third penalty followed 11 minutes after the interval, but this time to the visitors. Ollie Muldoon hauled down Sam Youngs, and veteran Darren Pearce showed his experience by confidently dispatching from 12 yards beyond Worgan. Stones then turned up the pressure considerably within the final half an hour, albeit without causing Wright too many problems in the Enfield goal. As 5 minutes went up on the fourth official's board, it looked like Enfield would be on their way to the first round of the FA Cup for the first time in their history. But in the cruelest fashion, and in the final minute of added time, former Norwich City man Jamar Loza fired a shot off the post only for Joe Pigott to stab home the rebound and leave the visitors with their heads in their hands when the final whistle went moments later. Monday night's televised first-round draw, the first that the club has ever featured in, rewarded them with a trip to League Two Cheltenham if they got through last night's, or Tuesday night's, replay. And in case you don't know, I'm afraid they did lose that 3-1, so they will not be in the first round proper.
Second half comeback to hold Hillingdon. Point a disappointment for Borough. Enfield Borough found themselves grateful to pick up a point against lowly Hillingdon Borough on Saturday, twice pulling back from behind in a 2-2 draw against a side who had lost 7 of their 8 league games. The visitors played above themselves and were well worthy of a share of the spoils, but could have had more before Henderson Brown's second-half equaliser for the hosts. Enfield made 2 changes from the victory at Buckingham Athletic a week before, as Guy Canbenny's injury ruled him out, and saw Wael Hassan join Dervin Hurd in making the starting lineup. It was against the run of play that Hillingdon took the lead after the hosts' bright start. which had seen Hassan and Richard Ennin miss the target, and Thomas Opoku and Josiah Plenty Lawrence have shots saved. A set piece would prove their undoing as the visiting centre-half got above goalkeeper Nicholas Kiriakou to head home. The visitors could have stretched their advantage, but were met with Brian Chishangbu's goal-line clearance for another chance before Enfield levelled as the interval approached. Brown's long-range free kick looked an easy catch for the goalkeeper, but he fumbled the ball, and Tajay Kennedy needed no second invitation to slot it home. Enfield did not heed the lesson of the first half and fell behind again when on top after the break. They were caught out as Hillingdon broke from a free kick and finished off a one-on-one with aplomb to retake the lead. Again, Enfield pulled themselves level, showing character they would have hoped not to need, albeit from the penalty spot. Brown was the man to level from 12 yards, and the hosts could have been awarded another spot kick when Opoku was pushed to the ground, only for the referee to wave away any protests. They continued to press for a winner unabated and introduced some fresh legs, but despite Solomon Wabuki's fine chance with time running out, his effort was saved comfortably for Hillingdon to claim a deserved draw. Borough are in cup action this weekend as they host Newmarket Town in the FA Vase. Their opponents ply their trade a league above and have started their season well ahead of Enfield's biggest match in their short history. Enfield Borough's team, Kiriakou, Bao, Newby Harris, Hassan, Chibangu, Enin, Abuke, Brown, Opoku, Wilson, Kennedy, Plenty Lawrence.
Invictus Games by Air Vice Marshal David Murray, Controller, Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund. Recently, the country rallied behind the brave ex-service men and women as they once again represented our country and battled for gold at the Invictus Games in Toronto. It has been great to see our veterans getting the attention they deserve and shining a light on some of the issues they have faced since leaving the military. If there is one issue that has stood out to me at this year's Games, it was mental health. I was so impressed by the number of athletes suffering from PTSD who stepped up and were willing to share their stories, which has not always been the case. People like Matt Neve, a 32-year-old ex-RAF driver from Wales, who talked about how sport helped his recovery and gave him a release from mental health issues he has endured for over a decade. The RAF Benevolent Fund stepped in and provided Matt with his archery equipment, which gave him something to focus on other than his PTSD and helped him switch off mentally. Matt placed gold at this year's Games. While Invictus has opened the door for many veterans with mental health issues, sadly, there are still plenty suffering in silence. Tuesday, October the 10th, marked World Mental Health Day and another opportunity to encourage people to speak out about their mental health issues and get the support they need. This year's theme is mental health in the workplace. According to the Mental Health Foundation, 1 in 5 people in the workplace experience a mental health condition. The armed forces are no different. We have also long worked with and financially supported Combat Stress, the leading veterans' mental health charity. More recently, we have been working with Anxiety UK to address issues head-on, providing a helpline, therapy sessions, and self-help materials. Our partnerships have been working. Of those who have accessed Anxiety UK's therapy services to date, 60% have shown reliable recovery, and 90% have reliably improved their levels of anxiety, stress, and anxiety-based depression. While there is still a stigma associated with mental health, the situation has improved drastically from my days in the RAF, when mental health was rarely mentioned. However, with campaigns like World Mental Health Day and the Invicta Games, I am confident we will soon reach a point where people will no longer feel they have to suffer in silence.
Right, an interesting item here under Playwright Publishes Sci-Fi Novel. And it's Matty Lacey Davidson who's speaking to an Enfield-based writer about a newly published work. An Enfield playwright has turned his hand to a different form of writing and published a book. Ray Newell author of the sci-fi novel Tintagel, will be promoting the book at Waterstones in Enfield on Saturday, October the 28th, between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. He tells me, "I have always been interested in writing. As a boy, I would rewrite the words to songs, and as a teenager, I started a band, writing and performing my own songs. Songwriting was a springboard into writing short stories and anecdotes, which developed into TV sketches. I loved writing for a live audience and have had many successful theatre performances across North London, including sell-out shows in Barnet, Finchley and Enfield. Before moving to Enfield, Ray lived in Cornwall, which is where his sci-fi collection of short stories began, and where he began writing them before turning them into a novel after he had moved. Tintagel the place is famous for its stories about Arthur, Merlin and Excalibur, he explains. Cornwall has a sense of mystery and romance, not forgetting an ever-present danger that comes from its rugged coastline and harsh terrain. My initial influences were C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia, Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels, Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, and later Neil Gaiman, J.K. Rowling and George R.R. Martin. I believe the unusual escapist elements of all my favourite writers are in some ways present in my book." He adds, "Having collected the substance of the book over a number of years, I finally decided to put it all together 2 years ago. I wouldn't recommend this method as it's a bit like doing a jigsaw puzzle without the picture." But we now have 7 articles that come from the October issue of Edmonton Green Magazine. And I'll start with the first one, Edmonton Statute Fair. For nearly 200 years, Edmonton was the centre of September festivity. The Statute of Labourers was imposed by Edward III to standardise wages for peasant workers after the Black Death had caused a shortage of hands. From this developed a medieval employment exchange known as statute fairs, where artisans and servants would meet prospective employers. To show their skills, farmhands would carry a pitchfork, milkmaids a stool, and female servants carried a mop. Even today in northern England, these festivals are known as mop fairs. The first Edmonton Statute Fair was held on the 14th of September 1680, near the corner of Angel Road. Probably motivated by settlement laws introduced in 1662, which stated that unless you were established in a parish by birth or long-term employment, you could not claim parish relief and would have to return to your place of birth for financial support. The Poor Laws had put extra demands on ratepayers, and every parish looked for ways to lessen the burden of relieving the sick and unemployed. To dissuade itinerant workers from claiming benefit, an act was initiated specifying that you had to work in a neighbourhood for at least a year before you could expect support from the vestry. In practice, this meant that arrangements agreed at statute fairs were restricted to 1 year's employment. To formalise the agreement, the employer would give the peasant a shilling, making him or her feel very rich. However, sharper fellows than our humble rustics were determined to take that shilling off them as quickly as possible, and introduced sideshows, roundabouts, knick-knack stalls, and more than a few legerdemain tricksters. Consequently, they became pleasure fairs. A painting of 1788 shows Edmonton Statute Fair in full swing. Robinson, writing in 1816, claimed 30,000 people attended the Edmonton Statty Fair. By this date it was claimed that it was the only hiring fair within reach of London. It was held at 3 sites. Fairfield Road marks the spot where theatres and rides set out stalls. Around the Angel Junction, traders sold jewellery, lace, and every type of dress to attract youths to part with their money. A third site, to the east of the present Angel, sideshows displayed strongmen, giants, dwarves, learned pigs, and performing fleas. It was held early September, soon after Bartholomew's Fair in Smithfield. It seemed that the carnival moved north almost immediately. The road from Shoreditch to Edmonton was supposedly full of carts, carriages, costermongers' stalls, and folk. Not everyone approved, and the revellers were labelled the mob. In 1860, Edmonton gentry complained that the fair induced the poor to spend money in no real comfort to them now or hereafter, and campaigned to have the fair terminated. The last mention I can find is a cutting from Weekly Herald, September the 19th, 1863. It says, "The fair, which was abolished 2 years ago, but was revived last year, was held on the first 3 days, the present week, in a field opposite the Bell Inn. The fair seems to have died out after that, but within a few decades costermonger stalls were appearing around the Angel and the Green, but that's another story."
And the next article is about health and is headed Make October, Stoptober and Quit for Good. Stopping smoking is good for your health and your pocket. During the 28-day quitting challenge, there will be lots of support to smokers on their quitting journey from our health partner, Quit 51, who offers support and medication to help ditch smoking for life. Smoking is one of the biggest causes of death and illness in the UK. Every year, around 100,000 people in the UK die from smoking, with many more living with debilitating smoking-related illnesses. Smoking increases your risk of developing more than 50 serious health conditions. Some may be fatal, and others can cause irreversible long-term damage to your health. You can become ill if you smoke yourself or through other people's smoke, passive smoking. Smoking causes about 90% of lung cancers. It also causes cancer in many other parts of the body, including the mouth, lips, throat, voice box, esophagus, bladder, kidney, liver, stomach, and pancreas. Smoking also damages your heart and your blood circulation, increasing your risk of developing conditions such as coronary heart disease, heart attack, stroke, damaged blood vessels and arteries, asthma, and emphysema. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Public Health, Councillor Crystal Fonionga, said, "We'll be offering lots of help and support to smokers who want to kick the habit, and I'd urge people who want to quit to give it a go during Stoptober. All the research shows that people who stop smoking for 28 days are much more likely to give up for good, so now is a good time to start. Quitting smoking is not only great for your health, but it's good for your pocket when you add up how much money you'll save when you don't have to regularly buy cigarettes, which are expensive. Stoptober. It's like October, but without cigarettes." To find out more about quitting smoking, go to www.quit51.co.uk or www.enfield.gov.uk/Healthy Enfield.
Fantastic! On the 29th of September, the Tarantinos performed at Millfield Theatre. What a night! The band captured the hearts of Quentin Tarantino's fans with their music and acting, which transported the audience back to the iconic movie scenes. They played all the best-known hits from the cult movies such as Kill Bill, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Dusk Till Dawn, as well as the new hits from Tarantino films, Death Proof and Inglourious Bastards. Full engagement from the audience was epic. The theatre was full of happy people who participated in singing and dancing throughout their performance. The musicians were very professional, along with the lead singer, who was fantastic and really got the crowds going.
Black History Month kicks off. Local star Janet Kay returns to celebrate Lovers Rock at the Millfield. The month celebrates the enormous contribution from the black community. Brace yourself. Enfield is preparing for a borough-wide party to celebrate Black History Month in October, and everyone is invited. There will be a packed programme of events at the borough's library, or libraries I should say, the Millfield Theatre and Dugdale Centre, to celebrate the contribution black people have made to the borough and the wider United Kingdom throughout the years. Opening the programme of events in a special evening of entertainment on the 9th of October at 6:30 at the Dugdale Centre included talks, art and South African food and wine. It was attended by dignitaries from the South African High Commission. This year is the 100th birthday of Oliver Tambo, South African anti-apartheid politician who served as president of the African National Congress, or ANC, from 1967 to 1991. Mr. Jabu Sibeko, chairman of the ANC UK, gave a tribute and talk marking the occasion. There were also events including plays, workshops and lectures, live music, dance, comedy, drama and sessions for children, as well as the return of the local songstress Janet Kay, bringing Lovers Rock back to thrilled audiences across the borough. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community, Arts and Culture, Councillor Yasmin Brett, said, Black History Month is an opportunity for us to celebrate the enormous contribution the black community has made to the United Kingdom and Enfield over the years. Black History Month helps build strong communities and recognise the achievements that black people have made throughout history, and gives us a chance to celebrate the thinking, innovation and creativity that has enriched our culture and brought us together as a nation. We have a brilliant programme of events planned throughout October, which will offer something for everyone. So I'd urge residents to get out and about and explore some of the great events we're hosting. To find out more about the events for October, and remember there's still some days to go in October, will you visit www.millfieldtheatre.co.uk/www.dugdalecentre.co.uk/.
And these are the final 3 articles from the October issue of Edmonton Green Magazine. North London's biggest Christmas pantomime is back, and this time it's with Jack and the Beanstalk. Passing the test of time, Millfield Theatre's Christmas pantomimes continue to fill families with joy and excitement that draws them back again and again. It'll be yet another rip-roaring Millfield panto, states resident creative producer Mark Day. Who is in this year's panto? If you've seen a recent Millfield pantomime, you probably witnessed Alex Scott Fairley spruce up the villain with his charming comical flair. No Millfield panto would be the same without him. So Alex returns this year as evil henchman Flesh Creep. Alex James Ellison is set to play Jack Trott after appearing in the UK Asia tour of the children's favourite Aliens Love Underpants. Alex has delighted audiences at the Union Theatre with Whistle Down the Wind and the Hertford Theatre with Simple Simon. Jill will be played by Lydia Rose Bertie. Lydia is no stranger to pantomimes after recently appearing in the nearby Dugdale's Easter show Red Riding Hood. David Boyle will play the much-loved role of Dame Dotty Trott. Often cast in the role of Peter Sellers between panto seasons, David's endless list of credits for this theatre work will fill the page. Oh yes, it will. We can also expect Christopher Burr as Simple Simon, Catriona Perrett putting the magic into Fairy Deluxe, all alongside 6 professional dancers and 8 talented local children. All brought together with melodious music and energetic choreography, there is no doubt it'll be a fun-filled festive treat.
Enfield Music Service Open Day. On Saturday, the 30th of September, Enfield Music Service held their termly Open Day at the Saturday Music Centre, based at Hounsfield Primary School in Edmonton. Parents, carers and children from all round the borough came along and had a lovely time trying out different instruments and taking part in different activities, such as playing in a steel pan group or a ukulele group. Lots of young children also took part in Music Club, which is a singing and percussion group that takes place each Saturday during term time. Paula Warren, head of the EMS Saturday Music Centre, said, "Our termly open days provide an excellent opportunity for children to try out which instrument they'd like to learn, and also the opportunity to explore the various music groups on offer. It's really inspiring." Enfield Music Service provides a wide range of instrumental and vocal tuition in schools throughout the borough of Enfield and at the Saturday Music Centre. It also runs music groups to suit all ages and levels. For further details, please contact EMS on 0208 807 8881 or at info@enfieldmusicservice.org. Information can also be found online at www.enfield.gov.uk.
And the final Edmonton Green Magazine article is entitled Get Creative with Doodle Designs. Doodle is a creative organisation that celebrates diversity and creativity for all. Their workshops are engaging, exciting and most of all fun. These classes are designed for parents or carers who want to enjoy crafting alongside their little ones, letting them explore their creativity whilst being able to get involved too. It is a fantastic opportunity to have fun and also develop fine motor skills and hand-eye coordination. Christina works in partnership with schools and other organisations to create and facilitate bespoke art and design workshops. Her workshops specialise in addressing a specific agenda and celebrate diversity, inclusion and engagement through art. Alongside her partnerships with schools, her recent clients have included IKEA, Enfield Youth Service and Enfield Council. Now there's a little bit of information here. Did you know the word ceramic comes from an ancient Greek word for burned earth? Ceramics are made by firing or heating clay, which is fine particles of earth, in an oven called a kiln or furnace. And thirdly, porcelain has the finest texture of all ceramics. It is made from a white clay called kaolin, fired at very high temperatures. Now, for the courses, there are some upcoming dates. The only one in October is the 20th of October now. The address is the Millfield Arts Centre, Silver Street, Edmonton, N18 1PJ. Booking is recommended to avoid disappointment. Please include the age of your child at time of booking. High chairs are provided. £10 for a session, which is for one adult and a child. In November and December, they're Christmas-themed workshops. They're held on the 10th, 17th, 24th of November and the 1st and 8th of December. So there's plenty of time left for that. For more information, would you go to www.doodledesigns.co.uk. Now, there are some special notices which I know we normally read at the beginning. A huge thank you to all our volunteers, but especially this week to Jean Davis, Alison St Dennis and Lindsay Rawlings, who have all been awarded a special certificate this week by the Mayor of Enfield, recording the fact that they have been volunteering with ETN for over 100 hours. Thank you too to Linda Cole, who edits our 4th weekly team. Linda received an award for her volunteering with the Friends of Berry Lodge Gardens. And as you heard earlier in a newspaper article, it is with much sadness that we report the death of John Boast, a founding father of Enfield, one of the first councillors to be elected to represent the borough. John was also always a big supporter of ETN. When he stepped down from the council in 2010, he volunteered to join us as a reader and soon became roped in to help with editing and announcing too. John died last week. His son and daughter have decided to ask people to make donations to ETN rather than sending flowers to the funeral, which is very kind of them. John's funeral will take place at St Andrew's Church, Enfield, on Wednesday, the 1st of November at 1 p.m, and all are invited to attend. Guide Dogs London, my guide, friends and family session. Are you visually impaired and needing support to get out of the house? In our friends and family session, we can facilitate conversations with you and your friends, family or colleagues about living with sight loss and offer practical sighted guiding training to those who support you regularly. It's also an opportunity to meet other visually impaired people and their families or friends for peer support. We have 3 sessions available, all from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the 31st of October, the 15th of November, and the 30th of November. Spaces are limited, and each visually impaired person can bring between 1 and 3 friends, family members or colleagues, so book early to avoid disappointment by emailing Francesca, which is FRANCESCA .vella, VELLA, at guidedogs.org.uk. Sessions will take place at the Pocklington Hub, WC1H 9LG, and are free to attend. And finally, a big thank you to Diane and Keith de Jersey for producing our latest magazine, which you